Good afternoon. Welcome to the Westport Board of Health, March 18th, 2024 meeting. I'm calling it to order with the announcement that under Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 20F, this meeting is being recorded. And please join us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And we will begin by welcoming back Linda Pierce, who has been out for a little while, and we're happy to have her back, and she will be presenting on colon cancer.
Good afternoon. I'm Linda Pierce, Public Health Nurse of the town of Westport. This month's disease report is colon cancer. Colon cancer is a growth of cells that begin part of the large intestines called the colon. The colon is the first and the longest part of the digestive system. The digestive system breaks down the food for the body to use. Colon cancer typically affects older adults, though it can happen at any age. It usually begins as small clumps of cells called polyps that form inside the colon. Polyps generally are not cancerous, but some can turn into cancer over time. Polyps often cause cancer symptoms. For this reason, doctors recommend regular screening tests to look for polyps in the colon called a colonoscopy. Finding and removing polyps helps prevent colon cancer. If colon cancer develops, many treatments can help to control it. Treatments include surgery, radiation, medicines such as chemo, and target therapy and immune therapy. Colon cancer is sometimes called colorectal cancer. The term combines colon cancer and rectal cancer, which begins in the rectum. Many people with colon cancer don't have symptoms at first. When symptoms appear, they'll likely depend on cancer size within the large intestines. A change in bowel habits, such as more frequent diarrhea or constipation, rectal bleeding or blood in the stool, which can appear black, ongoing discomfort in the belly area, such as cramps, gas, or pain, a feeling that the bowel doesn't empty all the way during a bowel movement, weakness or tiredness, losing weight without trying. If you notice lasting symptoms that worry you, make an appointment with a healthcare professional. You would be going to a gastroenterologist to have a colonoscopy. Doctors aren't certain what causes most colon cancers. It happens when the cells develop changes in the DNA. A cell's DNA holds the instructions that tell the cell what to do. The changes that tell the cell to multiply quickly. The changes let the cells continue living. Healthy cells die as part of the natural life cycle, which causes too many cancer cells. The cells might form a mass called a tumor. Cells can invade and destroy healthy body tissue. In time, cells can break away and spread to other parts of the body. When cancer spreads, it's called metastatic cancer. The risk factors: older age. Colon cancer can happen at any age, but most people with colon cancer are older than 50. The numbers of the people younger than 50 who have colon cancer has been growing. Doctors don't know why. The black race have a greater risk of colon cancer than do people of other races. A personal history of colorectal cancer or polyps, having had colon cancer or colon polyps, increases the risk of colon cancer. Inflammatory bowel disease, conditions that cause pain and swelling of the intestines called inflammatory bowel disease, can increase the risk of colon cancer. These conditions include ulcerative colitis and Crohn's disease. Inherited symptoms that increase colon cancer risk. Some DNA changes that increase the risk of colon cancer run in families. The most common inherited syndrome that increase colon cancer are familiarity Androgenesis polyposis and Lynch syndrome. Family history of colon cancer: having a blood relative who has colon cancer increase the risk of getting colon cancer, or rectal cancer increases the risk more. A low fiber diet, high fat diet is also risk for colon cancer. linked to the typical Western diet. This type of diet tends to be low in fiber, high in fat and calories. Research in this area has mixed studies have found increased risk of colon cancer in people who eat a lot of red meat and processed meats. Diabetes, people with diabetes or insulin resistant have increased. Smoking, people who smoke have increased risk of colon cancer. Drinking alcohol, drinking too much alcohol can increase the risk of colon cancer. Radiation therapy for colon cancer. Radiation therapy directed at an abdomen to treat cancer increase the risk of colon cancer. Screening for colon cancer, they're saying 40 years old, or 10 years before if there's a family history of colon cancer. And I have some reminders. So I still have Narcan kits available, and if you need any Narcan kits, please call 508-636-1030. And please do not leave used syringes on the annex stairs or in front of the nurse's door. It's a potential danger to the public. If they were picked up by the wrong person, someone could get hurt. So please always, when you need to dispose of your syringes, please call me at 508-636-1030 to make sure I'm available to accept them. Please keep our community safe. And our next blood drive is April 18th at St. John's Church in the basement. If you want to donate blood, please register online with the American Red Cross. And does anybody have any questions?
Linda, do you remember how many pints of blood we collected last?
I know we had 32 people, and I think that they can help 3 people with each pint. But yeah, it was a smaller one, but it went very well and nice and smooth. And we may not be able to have them there in the summer because of all the activities at the church, but we can resume again in the fall, Father Pete said, and it went very well. I was happy with it.
Good.
Thank you for organizing those, I appreciate that. And thank you for your presentation.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll move on then to the director's written report. Any questions on that? No, we'll go to your verbal report.
Okay, well, Linda just kind of went over the blood drives, and there was 32 people who went on the 14th, so that was good there. And I'll just reiterate that the blood drives are scheduled 10 a.m. to 2:30 on April 18th, May 16th, and June 13th. Our COVID test kits are dwindling in the annex. We have very little left, and the ones the free tests that we can get from the state expire in less than 30 days. There's no point in ordering another 600 tests if they're going to expire in less than 30 days. I'll order more once they come out with ones available to us that have a longer expiration date. I'm not sure. I didn't get a chance to go check with the library today to see if they had any left over there, but
I'll be there tomorrow, so
Okay.
I can check.
all right.
Or tonight, actually. Sorry. George Ripley is leaving. The librarian is leaving, so they're having a reception for him tonight. So, anyways, okay. Sorry.
Tim Burns will be on vacation. He's our transfer station worker, or which
Driver.
the driver, but the official position name is transfer station worker. From April 19th to May 6th, we're going to use contractors to empty the containers as needed. We're starting to review East Beach trailer permit applications. I think we reviewed maybe 18 dozen of them. I can't remember, it was in that ballpark. There was no issues so far. I was out there today checking out a couple of tanks for, to request of some property owners, and it's just going to be, to try to get their stuff situated so they can get their permits. We'll be holding a rabies clinic on Saturday, May 4th. From 9 to noon. It's free to Westport residents, and for non-residents it'll be a $15 fee. It's going to be at the new fire station on Hicksbridge in the rear. That's where we usually have it, on the back side of the building. It is up on the animal control webpage. There are flyers on the door, and I believe it's on the Board of Health webpage as well. Gabby, our grant health specialist, has completed her system inspector training, and she took the exam on Friday. I don't know the results yet. She was out today, but I'll find out. And then she's scheduled to take the soil evaluator training in April. And Olive, our shared services coordinator for the PHE grant, has been working with Donna Emerald and the collaborative nurses on planning health fairs and events for FY24. The dates that Olive had given me are May 22nd, the effects of opioids on individuals, families, and communities, and May 29th, mental health first aid course at White. That's going to be at White's at Westport from 8 to 4.
And there's another one, May 11th at the library on self-compassion. And I'm just trying to solidify the date of another presentation at the high school. I'm trying to get the date, but it's going to be on communication between parents and kids. So.
Okay, great. In the 103 Sodom Road housing court case that we had is, we dismissed it. It's just, all the evidence was there, but the judge wasn't buying it. So rather than go back and forth, and waste the town resources and money, it was, the property's been 90% cleaned up. It's just this one remaining item on the property that's, it is a violation of the housing code, and I'm going to try to work with the homeowner individually and see if I can get him to, do something with that. I think that's all I had for my verbal, and then on director approved plans. There's one, it's a 3-bedroom repair on a 171,931 square foot lot for Matthew Capetto, utilizing a stone bed. It's been through Concom. Did I give the address? It's 446 Highland Ave.
Yes.
Okay, I'll take a motion to approve that plan.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, that's unanimous, thank you. Okay, next we have the March 4th, 2024 regular meeting minutes. Any questions or concerns?
I had none.
I'm fine with it.
Okay, so I move that we approve the meeting minutes for March 4th, 2024.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
That's unanimous, thank you. Okay, we have some other business we can start going into until our 4:30 appointment. First, I put Board of Health Oversight Authority on the agenda just because there apparently have been some questions about our authority. And I just wanted to reiterate, I know we've gone over it ourselves, but just to refresh or to inform the public that under Mass General Law, Chapter 111, Section 27, which is under Public Health, organization of boards of health, appointment of physician or clerk, and compensation, that every such board shall organize annually by the choice of one of its number as chairman. It may make rules and regulations for its own government and for the government of its officers, agents, and assistants. And it may appoint a physician, which we don't do, or choose a clerk, and may employ the necessary officers, agents, and assistants to execute the health laws and its regulations. It may fix the salary or other compensation of such agents and assistants. So that is explicit authority for the Board of Health to hire the staff that we have. And just again to reiterate, the only time, and this is from the Mass Association of Health Boards, their legal handbook, boards of health have exclusive authority subject to any contrary provisions in a charter, which Westport does not have. So has exclusive authority to hire, fire, supervise, and establish contracts with officers, agents, and assistants as they deem necessary to execute the health laws and regulations. So just, again, just to reiterate, our authority to hire is clear, and we have many other sources of authority for the functions that we do under Mass General laws. It's pretty much driven by state statute. We do have some local regulations as well, which we are given broad authority to establish regulations to protect the public health. So again, I just wanted to restate that for the record. Any comments or questions on that?
I didn't have any. I mean, I appreciated the review of that. We work together with the town administration and obviously need to follow town rules around procurement, HR stuff and all that stuff. And Matt works closely with Jim on all of that. So just to be clear that Matt reports to the Board of Health. We are the hiring authority. Okay, the next one is 1175 State Road, a septic issue. There's a complaint and follow-up action that I'm going to turn over to Matt for discussion.
Yeah, sure. So on March 5th, we received a complaint for 1175 State Road. The complaint was septic was coming out the vent, and there should be pictures in there to show what was sent over with the sent to us to initiate the complaint. We received it, talked to the complainant on the phone, went out there with Gabby to investigate. We spoke with one of the employees up there with us on the property, and you can see from the other pictures it wasn't spewing out when we got there anymore, but there was a strong odor and everything was wet and around the vent, so clearly it was coming out, and stopped just before we got there. It's concerning because there's vent water, you can see it almost to the top of the vent, which can indicate a few different things. We received another complaint, telephone call from an anonymous caller on 3/13 about the same thing. We went up, we were not allowed access to the property, so we just left. Anyways, I sent the letter as I would do for anybody, asking them to pump the system and then have a Title V inspection performed. And the person, some individuals representing the establishment came in last Thursday, and we're going to send over the pump records. I have not received them yet. That doesn't mean that they didn't get here. Pat and Nancy have them. I just haven't gotten them yet, but I'll check with them tomorrow. And they yet to have the Title V inspection done. I don't know if they booked it, but on the order to correct, there's timelines for all that. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen with that. I'll say why now, because as I was out in the field today doing inspections, somebody had come in to pull a permit to do a small repair on that system. And I'm not sure entirely what they're gonna do. I didn't have much time to review it. I think it has something to do with the event. But still, I would like to have a Title V inspection, even though they're gonna do the small repair. We asked for one because there could be bigger problems or there could be no problems, but really until we get the inspection, we won't know. So that's where we stand with that. Now, if, this is unusual, we don't usually do this with order letters, but just in the case that we don't get what we asked for and the timelines all expire, I'm asking the board permission to engage town council, which I would do normally anyways, to send out, in this case, it would be a town council letter to them.
Mm-hmm.
So you haven't heard anything from them since you sent the letter?
No, they came in last Thursday, 2 people representing them, said they had the system pumped and they were gonna provide records, but they didn't have them with them at the time on Thursday when they came in. And they were not, it was unclear if they were gonna get a Title V inspection. They said they were gonna have a consultant come in, but we really need to have a Title V inspection done to see what's going on. If there's more going on there than, something we need to know about. Hopefully there's not. It could have been just inundated with all the rain and, or it could be something else. We really don't know until we get that Title V inspection report. So that's where we're at now. The Title V inspection report technically isn't due to us until the 29th. So they have until maybe the 21st to get it done, and then they have another 7 days from there, is that what my letter says?
Yeah.
To submit it to us.
Yeah, I mean, just to, point out for the record, that the letter, specifically informs the property owner that they have a right to request a hearing before us within 7 days if they want to, contest anything that's contained in the letter, or, otherwise, make their case as to why timeline should be extended, or whatever the situation is from their perspective. And that was due on the 13th or maybe the 14th of March, whenever the letter's dated the 6th. So, but from everything you're saying, that hasn't, they haven't done that. So, so it's always frustrating when, someone is, not willing to communicate at all, and just puts us in a position where we're kind of left no choice but to take formal action when informal resolutions are often more productive and are designed to satisfy both parties, concerns. So.
Agreed. Hopefully, they did in fact pump and look at those records, so that would be the first step. That would be really helpful, and hopefully they will, they are following up appropriately and will comply. But I would suggest that, given that our next meeting is
The 1st?
the 1st, but you won't be here. Somebody
Right.
won't be here, so that.
I won't be here.
Okay, we authorize Matt to
Yes.
engage town council if necessary, and you can give us an update on April 1st.
Yes, I don't think the current situation in the office is an alternative, so I think that's appropriate.
So I'll make that motion to authorize use of town council if necessary, hopefully not.
Second.
David?
Aye.
That's unanimous. Okay, thank you for that update. The next one is animal control. I had received an email from Karen Rouse, chair of the Finance Committee, proposing that the Finance Committee would offer to add $20,000 to the ACO budget from above what was approved by the Select Board, in order for us to be able to hire a second person for some backup hours, but also then help eliminate overtime. So ultimately, less than $20,000. So that was, they were having a meeting in a few days, so Matt and I, Matt put together a proposal that, as you know, we've spent 18 months trying to hire somebody on that
Right.
budget, and have been, successful for a week worth, maybe, but generally unsuccessful. It's very time consuming and labor intensive to hire, and at the salary, we can offer it. It's just a huge challenge. The person has to be within, 20 minutes, 30 minutes?
Half hour.
Half hour of Westport in order to respond to appropriately and so on. So there's a lot of constraints on that. I really appreciated that their willingness to, suggest an increase. They had mentioned at the FinCom presentation that they were, that they felt this was a priority. So what we did was present basically a counter proposal, saying, in order to there's no point in giving us money if we can't successfully hire. So Matt had suggested that we increase the hourly rate by $2 to go to the midpoint of sort of the scale. He's sort of surveyed the area. So from $25 to $27 an hour, which would increase that line item by $23,000 because we left $5,000 in there. You need to use a placement agency. Indeed, it's a waste of time, really, that's the only efficient and effective way for us to get potentially qualified candidates. Structure the position to max out at 20 hours a week, so enough to get benefits, because I don't think we can attract anybody without benefits. But that it would include on-call time and would fill most of the gaps when Nick's not on duty. If we go less than the minimum for benefits, then that person wouldn't have no sick or vacation time. It's just not reasonable. Then we would need to add costs for gas, training, and clothing for a second person. We proposed $2,000 for that. And we could reduce overtime by about $5,000, but still needs some for emergencies and extended call-outs. So the revised proposal is what's in your budget, in your packet. And so I think what was the net increase would be adding $18,000 in the personnel side because of that reduction in overtime. So a little bit less net than the $20,000 she suggested, but she also suggested reducing overtime. So sort of in line, but $7,000 in expenses, which would cover the placement agency and associated costs with that. So the net increase would be $25,000 more than the currently approved select board approved budget. I don't know where they were thinking they would get the money from. I know our budget is town-wide is very tight, but we felt like we had to give a realistic response. So that's what I wanted to run by you to see if you agree with that approach. Then we will formally submit and recommend for consideration for it. They did not end up, the FinCom meeting, they did not end up discussing this proposal at that time. I think they probably have another meeting tomorrow night. I don't know if it's on the agenda or what. I'm not exactly sure. Karen suggested that we submitted this idea for her to think about, and she just suggested you can bring it to a vote on a proposed change per the FinCom discussions. So, she proposed $20,000 and we're proposing back $25,000. I don't know. But anyways, I wanted you to have a chance to weigh in and see what you think. And we can modify the proposal. We can not recommend it. We can, don't worry. We're talking animal control anyways, not specifically your issue, but your timing is okay. Don't worry. So, thoughts on this proposal?
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, I think you put put the right pieces together, because I think that the general theme, has to be that in order to do this, it needs to actually produce results. I mean, if we're gonna go
Because
through
otherwise-
all the effort to do this, I mean, what, to me is, lurking in the background is still, it's a recommendation to the select board through the town administrator, and I don't think we've received any signal that that side of the equation is amenable to.
Yeah, we did not. I'm not sure where the FinCom, as I said, I
So-
tried to
So,
get more but they're,
yeah,
they've been busy doing their meetings, obviously they have a lot, but
Yeah.
clearly there were some FinCom members who are anxious for the animal control to be better staffed.
right, right.
And we certainly are too, but
Right.
we hadn't been given any indication of support for it.
Right, yeah,
additional
so I don't know,
funding. It was useless.
I guess it's up to the communications between
Well,
FinCom
let
and the
the
select
FinCom and
board
select
to
board
really
to, yeah.
decide how seriously they wanna take it up, and,
Yeah.
not, I just don't,
And-
don't have, as Matt's and yourself spending a whole lot of time dotting i's and crossing t's, only to, run into a brick wall.
So, so I think what I'm hearing is that we agree that this sort of counter proposal is a realistic, it's still tight, but it's realistic. I'm not shooting for the moon here, or Mars. And that if it's a limit of 20,000 minus 55, whatever, how much overtime they want, that's, we can put it in our budget, but we're not gonna be able to hire successfully. And so, if they wanna park it there, we'll make an effort, but without the adequate resources, it's really sort of it's not productive. I guess I would ask for a motion to endorse this proposed counter proposal of adding $25,000 net to the animal control budget with the goal of hiring a second part-time animal control officer and those attendant costs.
So moved.
Second,
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And that's unanimous, thank you.
just acknowledging we're doing this at the request of FinCom.
Yes,
Yeah.
at the
So-
request of FinCom.
Did you get that?
Okay, so timing is perfect. We'll roll right into our 4:30 discussion with Sean Leach, I believe as a representative or chair of the beach committee, to discuss the possible use of the animal control officer, we only have one, at the town beach.
Well, it sounds like you're getting another one. That sounds like to me.
Well, all depends on town meeting and FinCom and select board negotiations, so
Good luck on that.
so the floor is yours, Mr. Leach.
Okay, so I'm here tonight, today, for obviously, we've received a couple of complaints, not numerous complaints, about loose dogs on the beach. But more importantly, we have an upcoming beach season coming up, and Audubon has contacted us. They had a number of, I don't want to call them violations, I don't know what to call them. Number of...
Incursions?
I guess so, I guess so. Well, they write up a report and they send it in that, this has been a problem, this has been a problem, although they don't acknowledge that the dogs had actually destroyed nests or birds or anything along that line. They just foresee, I think it's, I'm not sure what they see and what they don't do, but I've seen, obviously, in the morning it's a problem. That seems to be the problem, not the evenings. It seems to be a problem in the morning, and for whatever reason that is, because lifeguards get there at 9 o'clock, and between 9 to 5, there usually isn't a problem, because the lifeguards turn people around. But usually before 9, it seems to be on certain days of the week, here and there. So what I'm thinking of is, because we just had to sign a contract for $11,000 to have Audubon come down and look at the birds, that comes out of our beach budget, which hopefully with the increase we can still break even, but we don't want any more notices of incursions, I guess, is the way of putting it.
Mm-hmm.
And the only way to do that is some kind of enforcement in the morning. Now, we do have an enterprise fund that has a little nest egg, available for funding, because I understand, and I don't know what your funding's like this year, but I can imagine it's similar to everyone else's. So, where we could possibly, I don't want to say foot the bill for that time.
And what? Can you
Well,
be more
that's
precise?
a good question. I had a really brief discussion with Nick as to what he thought he could do, because by the time he comes in here and gets down there's not a problem, because they know 8:30, all of a sudden it's like mass exodus. It's earlier than that, and I don't know how he feels about getting there earlier or more often, or even just from time to time, or whatever the case may be. We're trying to stop two things here. One is it's more a problem with loose dogs than just dogs. It's just loose dogs, because most people are just walking on the beach. If you don't like dogs, obviously if the dog comes tearing up to you 100 miles an hour, it's going to scare the heck out of you. But also the fact that loose dogs, most people aren't paying attention to what they're doing. If they're talking on the phone or just walking, and sometimes they're oblivious to what's going on behind them. We haven't had a really bad problem with dog waste, oddly enough, although we have you see a lot of plastic bags. People pick it up but tend to leave the bags behind, which I'm not sure. But it's more of an issue with the loose dogs. The Audubon is more concerned about any disruption in the plover nesting area. I'm not sure how that's going to affect this year, because there isn't a lot of beach to nest on this year. So I'm not sure if that's going to be a big problem. Most of the reports that they send us an end-of-year report every year, and most of the reports I've read, basically say, there's been a problem here with crows, problem with foxes. Because I know there's foxes down there, I know there's coyotes down there, as well as dogs. And they don't see dogs actually doing anything, they just see loose dogs. But we've been trying to make people aware, hey, great, keep your dog on leash or keep it with you or do something, try to do the right thing, but it doesn't seem to work out very well in the summer.
Is there? I thought there was a season where you weren't allowed.
April
to
16th to September 15th. Basically, it's plover nesting season.
Yeah.
I guess is basically the time frame we're really looking to do it.
So 5 months.
Yeah, give or take. I mean, and those are kind of arbitrary dates, because if it's warmer, they get here earlier. And they usually fledge by August anyway, and there's nothing here by August. We just shoot till after Labor Day, which is the beach season, because as much as I'm probably one of the biggest dog people I know, it's not a good idea to bring your dog to the beach in the summer with this food and the kids and everything going on. It's just not a good idea. But not during the day. Lifeguards are on it, and it's not a problem. The mornings seem to be the big problem, that I hear anyway from most people. Most of the complaints come from the morning. So, but I was thinking if he could get there, and I don't know, even randomly, like obviously if you say I'm going to be there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, you're not going to see somebody Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And it doesn't have to be, every day of the week. It doesn't have to. It's just more or less keeping people honest type thing.
Okay. And what amount of time? Like when?
Well, I would like him to get there, basically, if he can get there 7 to 8, 9. I don't know. What time do you have him start in the morning?
He's supposed to start at 8, but oftentimes he's here. He's pulling in when I do. So he can. I did talk to him a little bit about this, so I suggested 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock to go down and patrol the beach, even if it goes to 8:30. As long as if there's something that pulls him off, some other emergency, he'd have to get pulled off. But 7 to 8 or 8:30.
That's what I mean. It is what it is. Basically, obviously, if he's got someplace else to be, he can't be there. I mean, and like I said, it doesn't have to be Monday through Friday. He's got to be there at 7 o'clock. It's more randomly probably be better than non-random.
So he's on Monday through Friday and every other weekend. So on the Saturday and Sunday, would you want him to go down too?
Those are the worst days,
Okay.
for sure.
But Saturday and Sunday's on call. He's not in the office.
He's not, but I can ask him if he'd be willing to come in, just to come in and do a quick,
And it probably wouldn't have to be a great length of time. Like, he doesn't have to do it tomorrow.
Right,
More
yeah,
much
more
as
as-
May, June, July type
Yeah,
thing.
pretty fine. Okay, and what I would suggest
is if the rest of the board agrees, and I'll let them comment first, but then the follow-up, and how much is available in your budget.
Well, the issue is how much do you need?
Yeah, so that,
That's a different item, and you don't have to do it tonight. I'm just thinking, I don't know if you're amenable, and I don't want to see him working 80 hours a week either. You know.
no, I agree,
No.
because that's not.
But we do have, we do supplement, like, the town clerk's office, the highway department, when they do work at the beach, the police, if they need it and stuff. So,
Okay.
and we just have to plan accordingly, and now's the time to plan because we have not gone to town meeting to set a budget. So, like next year, we are planning some monies for recreation to have some help with the administration of the lifeguard hiring and stuff like that. So we're just thinking, and this may be, you know, you have years. I've seen some bad years, and I've seen some years that there's no problem, which is really strange. But it seems to be being pointed out all the time by the Audubon when we get the weekly reports, and then we get the end of the year report. Again, I know everybody doesn't believe their dog is, everybody has Lassie, but it's a very simple thing to keep your dog on leash and just keep it with you and stuff like that. You don't, I think a lot of the problems in the summer are not necessary, you know, as I see most of the time, don't even have beach stickers. They tend to be renters or somebody who's in town for a couple of weeks, and they, you know, so this is what you take your dog with you, you're gonna take it down to the beach and you're gonna turn it loose. Most people are very good with their dogs that I've seen. I tend to yell at people that aren't, but
Is there still signage there about the new?
yeah, there's still signage.
Okay.
I don't know how long
Doesn't
it'll
matter.
last. I mean, signs last about.
It doesn't matter, because I patrol Allen's Pond beaches, and I had to stop doing it because people were so defiant and hostile when I asked them to put the dog on the leash. It was a very difficult process. Some people are quite adamant about doing what they want to do, despite the fact that there are signs and that indicate why we don't want the dogs off the leash. So it's a hard position. I don't know if people respond differently if you have a dog officer. My hope would be that they
Well, I think
would.
so. I think the lifeguards, we ask the lifeguards not to be confrontational, because in this world, you know, it becomes very difficult, and I don't expect an 18-year-old person who's working part-time as a lifeguard to start being confrontational with people, and that's not what they're there for. They're there to be lifeguards, not policemen.
Yeah.
And the police are tied up. I mean, yeah, I know last year, the EP were down there a couple of times. They were down there patrolling a couple of times, I think at the request of Audubon.
So I just want to, you know, because this, clarify this, like what he would be doing on, it relates to this leash question. So one scenario, he's in the parking lot, and anyone, you know, during these prime periods, however we
Right.
define it, and he's just telling everyone with a dog, I'm sorry, you have to turn around and go home. You can't walk your dog on the beach during this period. And then there is the conversation, okay, but you have to commit to keeping your dog on the leash, and then he's walking down and patrolling the beach and
That's a little
yelling
more
at people.
that's a little more difficult. That's the
Yeah.
bigger problem.
Right, so it seems like you know, this is shooting myself in the foot potentially, although we don't walk in the morning, but we walk our dog on the beach.
Yeah.
And, but it'd be a lot easier if it was just, we took the leash being off the table as far as Nick is concerned, and his job is just to say, you know, the rule of the town is you can't have your dog here during this period of time. And I don't know if that's what we want to do or not, because then because if we get into the leash part of it, that's really more complicated for, you know,
The
for
problem.
a bunch of reasons.
Yeah, excuse me. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
The problem with the you can't be on the town beach is, well, okay, where's the town beach?
Yeah.
You know, so it's like there's a bunch of private properties in between, and there's, even along what everybody believes to be the town beach, there are a bunch of private properties.
Right.
And then there's what they call the Cherry and Webb Conservation Area, which is the final end of it, the last half mile.
Right.
Which was given to the town on the basis that the use would not change.
Yeah.
And I don't know
people
how.
bring their dogs on the boats and go up to Boat Beach and pull the boat up, and then
I'm
the
going
dogs
to tell
are-
you,
dogs running
realistically,
around.
the
So-
plovers don't nest on the first quarter mile of beach
Yeah,
because there's too much human activity.
right.
That's where everybody goes down.
Yeah.
They're nesting
Right.
on the boaters beach.
Right.
And the boaters beach is the bigger problem.
Yeah,
And that's typically, there's nobody, even lifeguards, patrolling way down the end. That's
Right.
where, I know all the nests that are, actually have nests, they lay eggs and there's chicks fledging and whatnot, are all down toward the boaters
yeah,
beach.
yeah.
Typically, they set the netting, the fencing up the whole way, but realistically, once weather gets nice and there's enough people walking the beach, the birds aren't that dumb, they move on. So it's usually not a problem. The problem, leash law is very specific where you have to keep it on leash or under your control.
Right.
The dog's 400 feet down the beach from you, it's not necessarily
No.
under
Yeah, right,
control.
right,
There are
right.
a lot of people that have very good dogs that stay right, and there are a lot of people who do the right thing, and unfortunately, they're gonna pay the price for this,
Yeah.
and myself included.
Yeah.
I never let my dogs off leash, but it is something that, that needs to be addressed because, all the complaints, realistically, I will tell you, all the complaints I've heard in the last year have been morning.
Right. Well, I just bring this up to say if, I just think we need to be
Careful.
clear, but just be clear with Nick, what the scope of his responsibilities are in this kind of situation. So is he just sitting in the parking lot, or is the expectation that he's gonna be, walking the beach and,
So
that
I
kind of
would
thing?
suggest that, that the details, of there should be a written
Proposal of what he should, or written scope, I
Guys,
guess.
scope,
yeah.
an agreement, and that we do it on a test basis to see, there has to be negotiation when he's willing to do it.
Right.
Because
That's
it's
the
not
other
his
thing.
regular hours.
Right.
And around the money piece of it, but that be negotiated between the two of you and Nick possibly, and our next meeting is April 1st, that's before the season starts.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, you don't turn to a problem to like Memorial Day. I'll say Memorial,
So
basically,
there's enough time to
yeah.
come up with a
We just need to, if
specific
if we have a dollar figure, we need to slide that into our budget,
Yeah, that's-
Yeah,
It
that's
depends
it, I
on
can
what
figure
you-
it, that's pretty easy.
And I don't know how many hours it would be if it's,
Yeah, well,
and it doesn't have to be a very frequent thing. I think the concern is, as long as people know somebody is watching, because like I said, at 8:30 is a
we
ghost
can
town.
put a sign saying animal control observer.
I said, if you had a vacant van and you parked it in the parking lot and just left it there, and it said Westport Animal Control, that would be a deterrent enough, I think,
Look at a mannequin.
because, and I don't expect Nick to be chasing people down the beach and everything, but the other problem we have, and I know this is, Horse Neck Beach tells people to go down to Cherry and Webb.
Yeah.
And they come down from the campgrounds, and those are, I think, the bigger problems than the person with the beach sticker who knows, okay, the plover's here, and I'm gonna be watching what I'm doing. I think it's more of an issue like if you're camping, Horse Neck tells you, hey, not on this beach, but keep on going, and then there's a bunch of private owners, and then you have people walking over from trips.
Allowed to walk dogs on Gooseberry?
I walk, yeah, you are allowed.
Yeah.
I walk home that's where I go every morning.
Send them that way.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just have a quick couple questions.
Sure,
So,
yep.
just so I'm clear, April 16th to September 15th, no dogs at all?
No dogs on the town beach.
Right,
Yeah.
and we're just talking about Cherry and Webb Beach here, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Well,
He's also talking about East Beach too.
I'm not sure, yeah, that's right.
Can't be.
because
Nub?
because The other issue is the Nubble.
Oh, no, I forgot about that beach.
That would be near impossible. The nub is just so far away, so for us to be able, for Nick.
Well, it's not any further away than from here than really any, but the problem there is that's a big problem, dog problem.
Yeah.
And we have big problems at night down there with dog problems because people camping on the, that's a whole night. Well, maybe it is a board health issue because we have people camping on the Nubble at night now.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
wow.
Okay, so all that, so I think the parking lot thing is great, but also, like you said earlier, people cross over, it kind of goes in and out of private to town beach, and that's where I think most of the problem comes, that, you know, you may enter on the private side, but then your dog takes off 400 feet, and you're on the town side now. So I think it might be best that he patrols the beach a little bit anyways, but I would just have to, like, to what extent am I gonna tell him to, like, we're just talking, hey, you know, put your dog on a leash, or you can't be here type thing, or is he actually gonna write tickets?
No, I think we start with warnings and saying, hey, please be aware that, you know, especially if there's plovers nesting. I mean, first thing is an educational thing.
Uh-huh.
Second thing is people, if you see the same person 5 days in a row, and
Yeah.
it's like you've told them 3 days in a row, like, then it's a problem. You know,
Okay.
it's up to him. I'll let him do what he wants on that. Most people that I've dealt with over the years, and I've been doing it a long time, I walk my dogs for a long time on the beach. When they see me come around the corner, they're grabbing the dogs, putting them on leash. That's the funny thing. But the second thing is, most people are very understanding who have a vested interest in the beach.
So,
Boaters Beach, not so much. I mean, it's out of control down there. Not just dogs, completely. And the Nubble, we had a lot of complaints at the Nubble last year. We only have a 100-foot strip of quote-unquote town beach down there, and the rest of it is land trust and private property. But, you know, it doesn't take long for a dog to run across 100 feet. But people are there, and, you know, they had pit bulls, they had all kinds of things going on, because people are on the Nubble, and they bring their dogs, and they're there for the day, and that's just the way it is. And I don't know how you want to deal with that. There is still a leash law.
right.
You know, and I think that's more enforceable than, okay, am I on the town beach? I don't know, you know. In the parking lot, it's easy, but
Yeah, it's in the bylaws, and, you know, if you're out with your dog and it's a public beach or park way or whatever, you have to be on the leash.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I mean,
So we'll leave it up to him on that whole,
I mean, we can-
education / enforcement, any repeat offenders, he can, you know, figure out how to deal with it.
we have a beach committee meeting this Thursday night. If, you know, we can discuss drafting a scope or a policy. I mean, it's, the reason, the police are really busy, and they're not chasing people on the beach. They can't afford to get out of their car, go walk down the path and look, and then somebody's 3/4 mile down the beach, start, you know, jogging. I don't expect the police to be doing it. They are very good when they see somebody in the parking lot, and again, but I think it's just a deterrent that, okay, make people aware. The EP are they don't care. They have no problem whipping out $1,000 fine if they see your dog off leash. They don't even care if there's plovers present.
Well, I think we gotta talk to Nick, but I would suggest anywhere between like maybe 4 and 6 hours during the busy time.
Yeah.
You know, it's just, if he's there, you know, 1 hour a morning,
Yeah.
that adds up quick.
Yeah, I don't want him to make a special, I don't want him to make you know, he's gotta have a life too. So I don't want him to make a special trip on a Saturday just to go there, you know.
Can we coordinate something with the EP around tape alternating or something so that we know that, no?
The environmental, they really, they go to Gooseberry a lot and do a lot of Gooseberry. I don't think they really do anything on.
Well,
actual
they're
town
all over
property.
Horse Neck. Believe me,
Yeah,
if,
the
I
state
know for a
beaches.
fact, if they're at Horse Neck and they see a bunch of dogs on Cherry Web, they drive.
Oh, do they?
Yeah, oh, yeah.
I
But-
just
but-
think maybe if we can say, this is what our plan is, and try to coordinate with them, and maybe there's some way we can, you know, like, you know, they're gonna be there Tuesdays, Thursdays, and we're gonna be there Monday, Wednesday, Friday kind of thing, that it may be helpful to do that.
Sure.
If they're down there and they're doing that.
Because technically the bylaw only pertains to the town beach, which is 300 feet long.
It's what?
It only pertains to the town beach, and it's only 300 feet long, so it's like, literally, if they're half a mile down the beach, they're really technically not on the town beach. So, I mean, there's all that to play into it, but, you know, if you're in the parking lot, I mean, I think it's an educational thing, and it's just the fact they see somebody there and say, hey, the plover's present. You know,
Yeah.
like I said, most people are very good that I've dealt with, but there are a lot of people that I know, you know, just, I'll see a dog and I won't see a human. You know, So,
So
That's all the
I
request.
think what I hear is the board is supportive of working with the beach committee
Okay.
and figuring out a plan, assuming that Nick is willing to work those extra hours, or we can rejigger his schedule, and that you and Matt negotiate.
yeah, I mean, yeah,
So-
whatever, yeah, we're just gonna need a
Finance.
dollar figure, and again, if we run out of money, then it stops happening, so.
Yeah, and it may be that it, I would suggest that we reevaluate after like 2 months and see, is this working? Because if it's not being effective, maybe then there's some other strategies to.
Well, the strategies which I would not want to do is, technically, the beach doesn't open until 9 o'clock. And if I open the gates at 9 o'clock, I'll have a bunch of angry people waiting for me. I've had that. If I miss 6:15, I have a lot of angry people waiting for me. So, I mean, but I did experiment one weekend a year ago where I didn't get down to 8 o'clock, and there were a lot of upset people. And for a good reason. At 6 o'clock, I'm one of them. Running the beach is the best time. It's the best time to run the beach where it's nice and quiet. Or if you're going fishing, it's the best time to go fishing. It's just a good time just to walk, and it's peaceful, and there isn't a billion people there. I understand that, but it's on the other end. It's like, what do you do in between?
Well, I think we do need to, get a sort of an assessment in a couple of months, just see how it's
Right,
going,
yeah.
right?
Yeah, I
we
agree.
wanna check in.
I don't have a problem. as
So
long
I
as-
can talk with Dick, in the
Yeah,
next.
see what
few
he
days.
wants to, again, I understand, he works full-time and everything, so
Yeah.
I'm not trying to have him work 80 hours a week or anything crazy.
Hey, so I'll talk with him, and then, maybe next week, I'd shoot you an email, we can, all three of us sit down?
Yeah, probably, it's a good idea.
Okay.
And then, if something starts by, like, say, May 15th, we have something in writing, an agreement by then, right? By May 15th, is that a reasonable time, or you want it earlier?
It doesn't matter when it's just done, truthfully, because this, I don't want to say it's last minute, but we just got the report from Audubon, and we just got, please sign up for $11,000, and it kills us, because, everything's for making a lot of money at the beach, but all these little things start adding up, and now we have to pay lifeguards $22, $25 an hour. It's like, we don't have a lot of
Wiggle
free
room.
cash, so
Yeah.
this week, at least we
Welcome
have.
to the club.
Yes, we're almost.
But we live and die on an enterprise fund, so.
When do you need to submit that into the budget?
Well, we have a budget, we have some dollar figures built in, like the recreation has built some dollars, and we already pay for the town administrator, the treasurer, the accountant, we pay administrative fees, and the town clerk. So there's a lot of people at the trough, so to speak. We just need a dollar figure, and we need to know that it's sustainable. This may be a 1 year only, depending on what happens with the revenue, because we're not sure after we jack beach passes up. We've gotten a lot of complaints.
Complaints about what?
Well, there were some elderly people who don't believe they should pay at all. And then the second thing is, what do we get for $50 for a beach pass?
You get to use the beach.
I said, try to go somewhere else. Go to Truro and see what you pay down there. Let me know what you pay. Granted, we don't have showering facilities and all these other things that some of these beaches have, but I think that's not the point. I think the point
We have
is
a pretty
just
beautiful beach.
yeah,
What we have.
yeah. So we can't have everything, but
Okay, well, we'll leave it in your hands, and, we'll get a copy of whatever the agreement is.
Yeah, I have already jotted down a couple ideas and numbers, I just need to kind of clarify when we sit down about,
what we're actually going to do.
well, yeah, that, and, are we gonna pay him at his just straight hourly rate, or are we gonna pay him at a time and a half rate, because he gets time and a half over 40, so I'm not,
I don't know what his rate is. I don't know if it's,
it's in the ballpark of $25 an hour. So if, yeah, so it'd be about $3,600 at straight time from April to September. But if we're gonna do time and a half, it'd be, I don't know, 36, right around 4,800 maybe, somewhere in that ballpark, $5.
But how many hours a week are you?
6.
6, okay. So, that's something you guys negotiate what your budget is. If it's only 3 hours a week, whatever, or we can do some on his regular time and add,
Yeah.
3 days a week, it's extra time, or the weekends, it's time and a half because he's coming out.
And I hate to bring this up, and this wasn't why I was here, but the camping thing is becoming a problem. And not that we have jurisdiction over it. There are some van campers that I lock in occasionally at the town beach. That seems to be a very popular thing. You get a little van, you drive around, you camp for free wherever you can park it. And Cherry and Webb is a very nice parking lot, and they don't care they get locked in, because when I go let them out in the morning, they're gonna drive out, and you're not gonna find a better place to camp for free. So the issue is, sanitary facilities, we do have porta johns, but the Nubble has become, from my understanding, and I've seen tents there, but I just assumed it was just to stay out of the sun, but I've heard they're staying there all night at the Nubble and camping.
Can the police do something about that? Would they-
If there's no car there, what do you do? If they're not parked there illegally, what do you do?
So does that mean that there has to be some kind of restrictions at the beach that are posted that can be then?
They're on a federal property. The Nubble belongs to the Department of Homeland Security.
That's news to me.
So, it's like, what do you do? I know they were camping on Ship Rock for a while. I know they were camping, basically in there's various locations, but it seems the Nubble has become a problem because it's just become like, especially on hot weekends and stuff, a good place just to put up a pop tent and sleep there. And we had some people come into us last year complaining about that, and I don't know well, the beach committee can't do anything about it. It's not the town beach. We don't have jurisdiction over anything, but the town beach, we don't have anything. But I don't know if you have any,
I don't know if it,
We can, I can I'll look into it and see what kind of jurisdiction we have. But they're not camping in vehicles, right? Just tents mostly?
No, because they know enough that if they park there, they're gonna get ticketed, and, so, and most of some get tickets. What happens is they get dropped off and they stay there all day, all night, all day.
Okay.
There's no sanitary facilities, so something to think about anyway.
Yeah.
That's not why I came here. All right, thank you.
okay,
All right.
thank you, Mr.
I'll
Beach.
reach out so we can set something up next week.
Perfect, great, thanks.
Okay,
I just have, we're on this issue of animal control and the beach. Nick, I ran into Donna Perillo,
Yes.
and she said there was a goose that was dying because of the avian, because we've got the problem with the avian flu, and all the geese that are being impacted by it, that he didn't go and take care of it. He didn't pick it up and said he couldn't contaminate the van. So then, in that regard, like, what do people do when they might find a diseased animal?
I went through this whole thing today because this came up on Friday or something. And so basically, we talked to the state, we talked to MDR, and on state beaches like Gooseberry Island, where the sick goose was, you've got to call DCR. So Nick was supposed to put on the webpage today who to notify if you see a sick goose, what number to call. They're the ones that are supposed to handle the sick birds. And they communicate and work with the Department of Fisheries and Wildlife. And they work together to try to, do what they're going to do with that sick animal. The environmental police, Nick told me today, because he reached out to them as well, they tell people just to leave it and let nature take its course. So that's what they're telling people. Now, if it's, if we see a cluster of 5 or more birds, then it's more of a serious issue. And DCR, if it's on a state beach, will reach out and they'll bring some other people down to deal with it a little bit differently.
Maybe we could have Nick.
If it's on town beach, I think I agree with if it's just one bird, we can't just be. We get a lot of calls, like I got one bird over here, one bird over there. They're not really linked together. They're different kinds of birds. They're not all in one spot. We got to be careful because we can certainly pick it up. There's a protocol for PPEs and to do this on town property. But then we just bring it to the shelter and they euthanize it. And if we did that for all the bird calls that we received, our budget would just be gone. Because it costs money to euthanize the birds.
yeah.
What we typically do, if it's on a private property or a town road, we'll call MDOT, they'll say what kind of bird is it, is there more, and we get instructions from them. And if they tell us to go pick it up and have it euthanized, then Nick will suit up and go do that. But on State Beach, it's a little different.
Okay. I'm wondering if maybe Nick did a little thing about that.
I didn't have a chance to check it out straight, but I asked him to.
Yeah.
Oh, but he maybe
To do a little
presentation.
speech here.
Oh, well, beach,
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, he can certainly.
To educate,
Yeah.
about who to call and what to do in case of an animal.
Yeah, maybe for the next meeting on April 1st. Sure.
Okay, great, thank you. Okay, moving on to we've completed the appointment for the discussion. We'll move back to other business, the cesspool FAQ discussion. I'm going to turn it over to Phil.
Okay.
You, what your, the initiative and what you're trying to accomplish here.
So this really came about from a conversation I had with Matt, where in conversations that he was having, I think, with Jim Hartnett, of looking to have the FAQ that we had generated around the cesspool phase out to be posted, and that led me to think, in light of the developments that had happened around that, and now discussions that had occurred in public meetings about and in other contexts about potential for the sewer moving forward, depending on how the vote in town meeting would go, that before we posted it, we should go back and just read through it again, because I think that there were some issues that were worth, worth discussing if we were going to put it up again, and it was going to be that document that would stand between now and the votes. And then in the course of going back and looking at what we had put out there, and then doing a little more, for me, after the fact, Title V research, realized that there actually were specific provisions related to the potential for a sewer line coming on for failed systems, which we hadn't really addressed at all. So we had just said all systems have to be must be phased out by X date, without distinguishing between systems that passed inspection and systems that failed inspection. So I mean, we can go. So that was one piece that I thought needed to be addressed, and then just the, I think, more general question of what happens, how do we reconcile the timeline that we had set with this, with people kind of talking about the next natural step once the spine is constructed down Route 6, which won't impact very many households, but the expectation that has been created is that will just be the first step to then expanding down into the neighborhoods, and that's very much more likely to take, trigger a whole nother round of funding, because what is being presented now is just for the spine. And so that's going to push out the, availability of the, of homeowners to connect. And also, you're not going to be obliged to connect is another issue. So there's a lot of issues out there in which, legitimately people are concerned about, well, if the timing doesn't all work out between our compliance date and the availability of the sewer, what are we going to do? So I tried to frame, I expressed my own personal feeling in here of just saying that that I think that once certain commitments are made, and financial commitments in particular, that we should, so I'm going to say it this way because I haven't really articulated it quite this way. So you have two universes, the universe of the failed system, the universe of the past systems.
We're just on cesspools right now.
We're talking about cesspools now,
Okay.
because that's the big issue with cesspools. I mean, that hadn't really been addressed in this way. Title V sets the standard for failed systems, and I think we're bound to enforce Title V unless something happens differently. But I think that what's set out in Title V is pretty reasonable, although they have a 5-year time limit. But it also says if you want to go beyond that limit, you have to DEP can extend that limit if the sewer is not available within the 5-year period. So it set out a formula, or not a formula, but a framework as to how to deal with the situation with failed systems. And I think there's a lot we can borrow from that. But it's premature. I think it's premature to commit to anything about what we're going to do because we don't know what the timeline is.
Right.
We don't
We have
know.
no idea.
You're going to have individual choices by people who, for the systems that have passed. And so I tried to address the attitude, so to speak, the perspective of the current board, but it was really my own personal way of expressing my feeling that it would be necessary to work out a compromise when that situation arose, and in a way that said, which I think is, because the sewer is going to take out 100% of the nitrogen. It's going to remove people's exposure to contaminated drinking water. That for the system, for the cesspools that have passed, there's a lot of incentive to let that system remain where there is an actual financial commitment of the town to bring sewer to that area. But it would require, for example, an agreement of the person to say that they're going to connect. So, but anyway, that is a future thing.
Right.
So, so that's, besides, and I guess there was one other piece on the financial assistance part of it, where I thought that since that I proposed to strike the 1%, the reference to 1%, because that's on its own pathway now to going into town meeting and how those funds might be expended. But we didn't put anything into the housing authority and loan. And I confirmed today that with the housing authority representative that you can loan, that you can obtain, if you're a low-income person, you can obtain a 0% loan for a sewer connection, which I wasn't aware of before.
That's great.
And you can also get a tax credit for and there's what is being proposed now by the Infrastructure Oversight Committee, if there's going to be a $10,000 connection fee. Betterment fee, yeah, betterment fee, but associated with that's when you connect, you have to, that's when your betterment fee becomes due. And it's payable for 20 years.
The was separate from, you get charged.
You get charged, yeah.
Once it's in front of your property, whether you connect or not.
Right, yes. And so, but at least whatever those costs are associated with that, that you could get a credit and you could borrow money for it.
You can, if you borrow money, you can't get a credit.
I think they changed that.
Oh, yeah?
I think they believe they changed that in the legislation. It used to be it was an offset.
Yeah.
It's not an offset anymore associated with it. So anyway, so I didn't get into all those details here. I might say they can use it for connection costs, so I inserted that reference in the general availability of financial assistance, and I put something in also about financial hardship, because I think we've all agreed that if there was a problem, someone could come and make a case that there was a financial hardship, because they could essentially be requesting a variance, and under that we would listen to them as we've listened in other situations.
Sure. I think clearly we need to revise the FAQ document to reflect the new timeline and there's other wording changes.
Yeah.
What I'm struggling with right now, or not struggling, it's just I think there are some policy decisions we have to make around, as you say, like how do we deal with this kind of situation? How do we deal with that kind of situation? That we really need to have a working meeting to kind of hash out, which is not going to happen before the vote.
Definitely.
The timeline. So my sense is that the FAQ document is not going to change people's vote right now. So we should schedule a working meeting as soon as we possibly can. If the outcome of the vote would affect the timeline, so that's another variable. So how important do we think it is? I mean, I know there was some sense of getting this on the website, but how?
Well, of course, so this probably would not have happened had not there been a request, through the select board's office or the town administrator to post what's there. And then I felt, well, we shouldn't post what is not really accurate. So that was one part of it. And then the other part of it was that there are some things that we could communicate through this format which would contribute towards reducing the argument that the Board of Health's regulation is, what's the right word, an impediment to moving forward with the sewer. Because that is a lot of the messaging that's going on or being used by, used to say that that the sewer is a bad idea because we're going to force people to upgrade their systems, and then the next week the sewer's going to come and they're going to have to decommission that and connect.
That's a great distortion of reality.
It's a distortion of reality,
Yes.
in which I thought that, and I'm not saying this is the right way, but that in which we could rebut that distortion.
Mhm.
How, you know, even though nobody, you know, people are not going to be rushing to see what we
Right.
post about
Yeah.
this, that it would serve a you know, a purpose. And the other thing that, as you were saying about the timing, I mean, so right now, there's still 3 more years under our current timeline, you know. 4, okay, 4, sorry. But I think